We shouldn't take the mickey out of him, and it's not his fault, right? It's just genetics.
It is just genetically.
Yeah.
How is it genetic? What are we talking about?
Nothing. So we're going to talk about.
Go watch the live stream. Apparently, if you're trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah. There you go. And like and subscribe.
Like and smash that like button.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd say what the story was while we do that. Or we'll just sit here and start the show.
On social media.
There we go.
Yeah, boom. Heck yeah.
Smooth, guys.
Strong start. Okay, so this came from one of us, I think, had made a prediction that there was going to be a breach of a major social media platform. That was you, John. And was that for this year or was that for last year?
Last year.
Okay. So why didn't it happen?
I don't remember.
I mean, that's kind of like, actually my question is, one, why hasn't a social media platform had like a major breach? Or maybe they have.
Was it you, Peter? I don't remember.
Huh?
Go on.
Why haven't they? Why hasn't it happened yet? And why would we care if it did? Because everything's already been compromised anyway.
So what do we count as a breach?
Good question.
Okay. Do we count like LinkedIn scraping as a breach? Well, do we count like LinkedIn?
I feel like we count everything as a breach. Oh, T-Mobile was breached and LinkedIn was breached and all these.
Okay, but like
blah blah blah. Everybody's
hold on. Because like we have Twitter misconfiguring 2FA and leaking like emails associated with accounts and phone numbers associated with accounts, I think is what it was. How was it went? I don't remember exactly. But basically people were able to scrape the entire user base of Twitter and like tie emails to their accounts.
Yeah, that was a password reset thing or something like that. Where
that's what it was.
No. What it is that you can import your contacts list, and if you import your contact list with the phone number, it would then automatically associate it with that Twitter account. So if you just pretended that you knew someone, you could enumerate all possible phone numbers, and then find out which accounts they were associated.
Or it was like emails or phone numbers. I remember. Anyway, so. Right, is that a breach? Yes, I would constitute that like a vulnerability in Twitter system and someone exploiting that vulnerability. So, okay, we have that defined that it's very loose. So we have had major breaches. Now, Mike, your second question was, why should I care?
Well, okay, so but I think your example proves that it has happened and kind of nobody did care.
I mean, I care.
Okay, I mean, now we're getting into this is like a semantics episode, right? This is basically, but what do we mean by where do people care? Because I care, but like does the general public care? But then like does the mainstream media care?
Why did you just turn into the king, bro?
I'd be a very camp king. I'm sorry, but I just like it's semantics. What do we call caring? Like, is there a certain number of headlines that?
I wanted to define how loosely are we defining a breach, and then I wanted to say to Mike asked, why don't we care? And I think that we don't care, but we should.
Yeah, okay.
Because why do we care was Mike's specific question. It's not why don't we care. Why doesn't he didn't say why doesn't the he said why do we care if because the information is already out there. That was so my question, my answer.
Why do we care about breaches?
Yes, my answer to this, okay, Mike, this is actually the important part. So we have these aggregators of data. Okay, I'm not going to name names just because people can go and use them for really bad things. And but I've come across these services through like OSINT. And basically what they do is that they aggregate in clear text all of the breaches. Okay, so if they were able to get their hands on a dump, they catalog and basically allow you to access the information on there. So usually like searchable and stuff, like it's like interactive and like you can be like, oh, I'm gonna fucking ruin this person's life and I'm gonna type in their email and see like. So why do we care is because when that gets added, like that person's new password like has now been added. That's why we care.
But what's not already? Go ahead, Peter. Did Peter freeze? I think Peter just froze. All right. So, but what's not already in those databases? What don't they already have?
So, okay. So, right, like Facebook, I'm pretty sure Facebook does this or did this at least. Like, let's say I am a chronic reuser of passwords, and my password is Hunter4, Hunter2, Hunter2. Okay, my password's Hunter2, and I use it across all my accounts, all banking and Facebook and all of it, everything, everywhere. And I then go to log into, or sorry, not me, but a like known malicious IP hits Facebook with those credentials. Facebook is like blocked. And also they'll notify me that like, hey, we got suspicious activity. You need to reset your password. So now I'm making Hunter2 exclamation point. Okay. And now the hackers can't get in. But as soon as another service that I reuse the password on gets breached, Peter's back, by the way. As soon as I reuse the password and that service gets breached, now they have access to that password again. So that's why we should care, is because the combination of shitty practices and shitty security equals like a bad time for these people.
So for the 34 people in the country who actually changed their passwords, it's going to affect them.
Well, there's some advantages. I saw a thing recently with Google. Was it Google Chrome or Google Workspace or something? And it showed me all the different dark web places that my password had been found on. So it was all these breaches that John was talking about. Sorry about me just dropping out there. Brave just completely nuked on me, just disappeared.
Well,
I think I'd been running it for about 4 months or so. Yeah.
5 million open tabs.
I love it.
Not that many open tabs. I just hadn't closed it for.
Who knows what's going on in Peter's RAM? Yeah.
Yeah, and do you know what it was? Is I was opening a tab in the background, and I'd done it a few times during the recording, and I'd seen things slow down.
Oh, okay.
And I just opened one, and this one just went. Bleh,
that was it.
I literally never close Brave. I just open a new tab, drag it, and then close the like big collection, and like restart my day. Yeah.
Anyway, I think there's a memory leak there somewhere. But yes, Google have a thing for telling you where your password has been notified, and it was surprising the number of places that had been found in. Also, by the way, if you want to see a good sort of version of this, which is actually safe to go and look at, is haveibeenpwned.com, which is a great selection. Well, if you're not familiar with this, it's a site called Have I Been Pwned, as in PWNED.com, run by a guy called, I forget his name.
Troy
Hunt. Thank you. Yes. And you can put your email address in and find out where he collects data breaches. He imports them. He's a very trustworthy guy, and he can tell you when and where your password has been breached. But so if we want to look for data breaches on social media accounts, this is the place to have a look. Facebook accounts. Here we go. 509 million Facebook accounts.
So the cool thing about Have I Been Pwned is because also, or the cool thing about Have I Been Pwned is that they also do domain-wide search and like auto notify, so like detection. So what you can do is, if you're like an IT guy at your company, don't just go and do this, like get approval, but you can go verify through a DNS record that you are allowed to like monitor the domain, and like just like you do with like Google. And once you do, Have I Been Pwned will notify you to your email and whatever email you want anytime like they get a new breach and your data is part of it, your company's data. So an email, some user.
Been affected by 9 data. I've been breached 9 times. I'm actually shocked it's only that many. I've been using the same passwords for years.
I mean, that's what Have I Been Pwned, right? Like, Mike, it's so stupid easy to find your password. Like, I really mean, like, it's like not okay how easy it is to like find someone's password. Moving on. Let's talk about Bitwarden.
Yeah, I mean, so speaking of changing passwords, so Bitwarden itself wasn't actually breached, but Bitwarden relied on a bit of Windows functionality that would keep the vault decrypted while the user was logged in without requesting another password. That was compromised and allowed people to access Bitwarden vaults without passwords.
Does this count as a supply chain vulnerability?
Because it's Microsoft.
Yeah, it might. I think it might.
Hello, Windows Hello.
Yeah, I mean, Bitwarden's relying on something else, which was then compromised. So then Bitwarden is.
Because I think when we were talking about this with IronPyTest, and not historically, for me in my head, right, when I think of a supply chain attack, I think of up the chain, right? Like we have GitHub, GitHub gets breached, and all the companies under GitHub are now affected, right? Like that's the type of supply chain in my head. But then when we were talking through it with IronPyTest last week, and I did like read the definition, it could also be a side chain. Yeah. And this is what I would consider like a side chain and not an upper chain. So it's still part of the supply chain. It's just to the side, right? It's a it's a horizontal.
Yeah. Like including a compromised library.
Yeah. Okay. Incidentally, talking about supply chain and compromised libraries. So do you remember a while back there was an issue with the LeftPad node module in the npm module in the node ecosphere? What is it? npm is the package management system it uses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So LeftPad is a very, I think it was LeftPad, but is a very commonly included library that does something very trivial.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, it was like the color, right?
It was a color or is even or is odd or some really trivial piece of functionality, but it was uploaded as a package which can then be used by other node developers, and it kind of just gives them an extra bit of like, makes their coding a tiny bit easier. That's what most of the packages do, to from a very tiny extent to like huge frameworks. Anyway, the problem was that the owner of this something happened to the package itself. It was included in millions of people of like other libraries depended on this library, and the original library got compromised, either deliberately by the author or because he got paid or something like that, or his account was hacked.
Wasn't that the one where he let it expire and somebody else reclaimed it or something?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact details, but because as a result of that, what happened was that one of the problems of it was that because most packages auto upgraded, they automatically got compromised because the package itself would update to the compromised version, and then all the dependent packages would also then update to the new version, which was compromised, and download that, and so there was a change made to the npm, which was that if a package depended on a specific version, you couldn't remove that version from the npm ecosphere. Basically, it was then permanently there. You couldn't actually get rid of it and replace it with a compromised version. Here we go.
Well, this is different.
This week, well, this is a result of the...
I was going to say, as you were talking through the problem, I could see the problem with the solution for that problem. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So what happened was that somebody created a package called Everything, and Everything has declared that every single package had a set number of chunks, but those chunks individually declared that every other package in the npm ecosphere depended on it. So a specific version
wasn't it that it depended on every other package?
Oh, it depended on every other package, yeah.
So nobody else could take their packages down.
Yes. So that meant, yeah, exactly. It's because that was dependent on all the other ones. Also, a side effect, by the way, if you install this, you will run out of disk space because you will download
the entire npm directory.
Yeah. It's just way too much to fit on any hard drive. So this was hilarious. He basically broke npm.
So I did want to talk quickly about the 23andMe breach.
Oh, this was hilarious.
This I took as kind of this was the best example of a social media attack that I could find short term recently. This is actually from December. And what was funny about this is, so it came out that 1,400 accounts were accessed on 23andMe. But the headline was that 6.9 million users were affected. So how were 6.9 million users affected if only 1,400 accounts were accessed? Well, about 5.5 million people were people who had opted into 23andMe's DNA relatives feature, which allows customers to automatically share some of their data with others. And another 1.4 million people were those who opted into DNA relatives who also had their family tree profile information accessed. Yeah. So that's a risk of social media.
Yeah.
And I think Facebook actually had trouble with that for a long time too, because you could expose your friends list, expose your friends, the contact information of your friends, by sharing your account information. It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the Cambridge Analytica thing, right? Leverage taking advantage of that. That was the whole thing.
Well, Cambridge Analytica was a lot of things, I think, but that was definitely part of it. There's a lot of breaches and things like this, which are a result of that, not your fault. It's a common thing with address books, where when you upload it to a system, you're uploading details on other people that they haven't given permission to share with someone else, with LinkedIn or Facebook or whoever. But it's such a common feature that people don't really question it anymore. But it's not really your data to be sharing about someone. You're essentially doxing your all your friends to these massive social media platforms. Would you call 23andMe a social media platform? I mean, I suppose it's morphed into one, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought of it that way.
I mean, there is a, like, do you want to create a contact with this unknown person that could be your, like, third cousin?
Yeah.
So, like, yes, there is a social aspect to 23andMe, but I do despise. So something that really turned me off of TikTok was signed up and, do you want to grant access to your contact? Do you want TikTok to have access to your contacts? I'm like, no, thank you. But then I don't have anything. I'm not following anything. They haven't built an algo. Like, their algo hasn't built a profile on me yet. But I see a bunch of people I know from my life to follow. I haven't given them this information, but because TikTok uses phone numbers to log into, even though I didn't share, TikTok already had my phone number from a bunch of people. And they were like, hey, you were stored. What they're saying is you were in this person's contact list. You guys are probably friends. You should follow them. And it's like,
that's how the social graphs work.
Terrifying. Nothing.
Facebook, LinkedIn pioneered this. There was the creepy LinkedIn thing where you'd log in and say, hey, suggest people that it would suggest people to connect with, and they were people who uploaded their contacts list and had you in it.
No thanks.
Yeah. The weirdest one to me was the Facebook one, where it figured out your location because you were in other people's photos.
Oh, not only that, but this happened to me. I'll never forget this. Oh my God, you just threw me back 8 years, Peter.
Oh, okay.
So
what, you were 10 then or something like that?
Shut the fuck up. So I went to a party and it was a person.
You were partying.
I went with my friends to their friends'
house.
They
got you into the party. Okay,
listen.
With his fake ID.
Oh my God, I'm going to fucking die. Okay. I went to a party. I was in my 20s. Okay, does that make it better? Yeah. Right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Let's call it that.
Okay. I went to a party. I don't really like the person's house that I'm going to, but I like kind of was like coerced like by the group that I was with. Like, let's just go. So I'm not friends with this person on Facebook.
Peer pressure is hard at that age.
Facebook used to have, I don't know if they do anymore because I'm not on there, but they used to have like you should add this person. Like you guys should be friends. Okay, so I went to this person's house. And I spent the evening near this person at their house. I never connected to their Wi-Fi, but my Bluetooth was on and my Wi-Fi was on, right? Like, so
No.
Anyway, the next day they're like, "Hey, you should add this guy. You should be friends specifically with this person whose house you were at." And it's like
not a bad reason to try and suggest somebody.
Well, you're not
wrong, creepy, but
it is not okay to be like, "Hey, we know you were there. We know you were near him, and you spent 43 minutes like a meter from him, so approximately. So like you should be his friend because you guys were probably talking." So this type of confidence scoring of like
there's
like
potentially
based on dark points, like
a risk to walking around with an always on GPS connected microphone and camera that can track your location accurately down to the foot. Sounds like you opted into that.
I think that seems perfectly like risk-free to me.
It's totally okay. Like that's such an okay thing to do. To
yeah, totally.
Honestly,
that's sarcasm.
Just
for Mike,
take it
you
off.
may not recognize this. That was sarcasm. just so you know.
Yeah. Do I need to do like? Oh, I know what it is. It's because Mike is so serially online, plus such a fucking boomer that Mike actually needs the /s from Reddit. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You knew what I was gonna say. Yeah. So anyway,
I type 22 minutes in. I set up a Windows shortcut key for it.
Oh fuck the mappings. We're back. Nice. Get me the fuck off this episode.
Quickly.